Welcome back to Epic Greek Myths. Today we turn to the tragic and often misunderstood tale of Helen of Troy, a woman remembered for her beauty, yet burdened by a destiny shaped by gods, oaths, and forces far beyond mortal control. Praised as the most beautiful woman to ever live, Helen became the silent center of divine rivalry and human ambition, her name forever bound to the fall of a great city. Join us as we unearth her origins, explore the pivotal moments of her life, and uncover the deeper symbolism behind the woman history chose to blame for one of its greatest wars. Born at the intersection of divinity and mortality, Helen's arrival into the world was anything but ordinary. She was the daughter of Zeus, king of the gods, and Leda, queen of Sparta. In one of the most unsettling myths of Greek tradition, Zeus approached Leda in the form of a swan, an act later poets romanticized, but earlier sources treated with unease and ambiguity. From this union, Helen was born not from a womb, but from an egg, a symbol that she was never meant to live fully within the mortal order. Some traditions claim Helen shared this egg with her siblings, while others insist she alone emerged divine in nature. Even in infancy, she was set apart. Her beauty was not merely admired. It was spoken of as a force, something that inspired awe and discomfort in equal measure, as though the gods themselves had placed too much power into a mortal form. As Helen grew, her beauty matured with her, but so did the danger surrounding her. Long before she reached adulthood, she became the object of desire and possession. One lesser-known tale recounts how the hero Theseus abducted Helen while she was still a young girl, intending to keep her until she was old enough to marry. Though she was eventually rescued and returned to Sparta, the incident revealed a grim truth. Helen's body and future were never truly her own. This early abduction was not an anomaly, it was a prelude. Helen learned, even in youth, that admiration could easily become entitlement, and beauty could invite violence as readily as praise. By the time Helen came of age, her reputation had spread across Greece. Kings, princes, and warriors arrived in Sparta from every corner of the known world, each seeking her hand. These men were not simply lovers, they were rulers whose claims to Helen carried political weight. To marry her was to gain prestige, legitimacy, and symbolic favor from Zeus himself. Fearing that Helen's marriage would ignite bloodshed among the rejected suitors, her stepfather Tyndareus devised a solution meant to prevent chaos. Each suitor would swear a solemn oath to honor Helen's chosen husband and defend the marriage should Helen ever be taken or wronged. This vow, now known as the Oath of Tyndareus, was meant to preserve peace. Instead, it ensured war. Helen was married to Menelaus, king of Sparta. With this union, she became queen, bound to duty and expectation. Some myths suggest her marriage was stable, even affectionate. Others are silent on her emotions entirely, a silence that itself speaks volumes. Helen's inner life is rarely recorded. Her value, once again, lay in what she represented rather than who she was. For a time, Helen lived quietly as Queen of Sparta. Yet even in peace, her beauty remained a point of tension. In Greek thought, beauty was never neutral. It attracted envy from women, desire from men, and scrutiny from the gods. Helen's presence was both admired and feared, as though her existence carried the potential for upheaval. Unbeknownst to her, events far beyond Sparta were already aligning against her fate. At the wedding of Peleus and Thetis, a golden apple was cast among the gods, inscribed with the words, "To the fairest." The goddess Eris, embodiment of discord, had set into motion a chain of events that would ripple outward into the mortal world. When Paris, a Trojan prince living in exile, was chosen to judge the contest between Hera, Athena, and Aphrodite, Helen's destiny was sealed without her knowledge. Aphrodite's bribe was not abstract. It was personal. Helen became the promised reward. Paris arrived in Sparta under the sacred laws of hospitality. Menelaus welcomed him as a guest, offered him protection, and treated him with honor. This detail is crucial, for Paris's actions would later violate one of the most sacred customs in Greek culture. During Menelaus's absence, Aphrodite's influence took hold. Ancient sources differ sharply here. Some describe Helen as overtaken by divine enchantment, her judgment clouded by the goddess of desire. Others portray Helen as conflicted, torn between duty and longing. perhaps seeing in Paris an escape from a life defined entirely by others' expectations. A few obscure traditions even suggest Helen resisted, that she foresaw the destruction her departure would cause. But resistance, in Greek myth, rarely withstands divine will. Helen left Sparta. Whether she departed willingly, reluctantly, or under divine compulsion, history would remember only the outcome, not the circumstances. In Troy, Helen found no refuge. Rather than being embraced, she was regarded with suspicion and resentment. To the Trojans, she was both prize and curse, a living reminder of the war gathering at their gates. Helen herself is said to have walked the walls of Troy, watching the Greek armies assemble below. In Homeric tradition, she identifies the Greek heroes to King Priam, naming men she once knew, men bound by oath to destroy the city because of her. These moments reveal a quieter side of Helen, reflective, burdened, and deeply aware of her role in unfolding tragedy. In some accounts, she condemns herself openly, calling herself a bringer of death. In others, she curses Aphrodite, recognizing that her fate was shaped by divine rivalry rather than personal choice. Even the gods continued to manipulate her. Aphrodite shielded Helen from harm when Trojan women threatened her, while Hera and Athena nursed their resentment, actively working to ensure Troy's destruction. Helen existed in a state of contradiction, protected by divinity, yet condemned by humanity. After Paris's death, Helen's position grew even more precarious. She was passed from one Trojan prince to another, reinforcing the idea that she was property rather than person. Each transition deepened her isolation, her identity eroded by the roles imposed upon her. When Troy finally fell, Helen survived. This survival disturbed many ancient audiences. Some myths claim Menelaus attempted to kill her in rage, only to be disarmed by her beauty once again. Others suggest Helen bared herself before him, a gesture both powerful and tragic, forcing him to confront the futility of further violence. Perhaps the most telling variations are those in which Helen was never in Troy at all. In these versions, a phantom, a divine illusion, took her place, while the real Helen waited in Egypt. These stories suggest an ancient discomfort with blaming a real woman for such devastation, offering an alternative where war was fought over an illusion. Helen returned to Sparta with Menelaus, resuming her role as queen. Yet nothing could truly return to how it was. The war had reshaped the world, and Helen's name would forever be synonymous with loss. Helen of Troy is often portrayed as a seductress or a traitor, yet her story reveals something far more complex. She was desired before she could choose, promised without consent, taken under divine influence, and blamed for consequences beyond her control. Her beauty, rather than a gift, became a sentence. Today, Helen stands as a symbol of how myth transforms women into causes rather than people, how beauty becomes burden, and how history often remembers blame more clearly than truth. Her story reminds us that behind every legend lies a human cost, quiet, enduring, and too often ignored. Thank you for joining us on Epic Greek Myths. For more explorations into the captivating stories of antiquity, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell icon. Comment below who you want to see next. New videos uploaded often. We look forward to bringing you along on our next mythological journey.